Hey, and welcome back to Dwain Woode, MD Live, as we talk about finishing strong. Have you ever watched a marathon? Yeah, I've watched them. As a matter of fact, I've watched a lot of sports games. I've watched races. I've watched basketball games. I've watched football games. Yeah. And you know what I love to see? I love to see the finish. Because the first part of the game is great. Everybody's excited. Even when I go to a game, we get in there and we drive up and all the crowd is coming. And we go and we get the concession stand and we get the stuff and we get the hats and we're going in and we sit down and we get the tip off. Or you get the coin toss. Or whatever it is. And there's excitement. And in the middle of the game, people are getting up and they're going out, they're watching the game, they're talking to each other. But those last seconds, the end of the game, when it's close, or even if it's not close and you're wondering what's going to happen, finishing strong. Finishing the end of the game is where the victory comes. And we've been talking about finishing strong. We've been talking about this bridge that leads to our blueprint. And tonight we're going to go further as we talk about discipline and how discipline carries us across the line. Motivation feels good. Inspiration feels great, but motivation fades. And it is the discipline that takes us where we want to go as we talk about our health and every other aspect of our lives. Hey, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living, that's right, we're living limitless lives. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're new to me, thank you for coming through. If you are new, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that we are so excited that you are here. If you do have questions as we go throughout the evening, go ahead and drop those in the comments because we want to make sure that we get to those and put a Q in front of that so we'll know that that is a question that we need to get to. Whatever platform you're joining us from, whether that's LinkedIn or Twitch or Instagram, or TikTok, or Facebook, and of course here on YouTube, we welcome you to this space. And a special shout out to our community members, our accelerator members. Glad that you're here. Always excited when you're coming through. And special shout out to those who are joining us because you saw our content either at a health fair, your doctor's office, at your church, some community center. Thank you for coming through. Special shout out to our folks from Atlanta Berean. Thank you for being here. Special shout out from Nashville. That is Riverside Chapel in Nashville. And then, of course, Louisville, Kentucky. Those are our folks from the Magazine Street Church there in Louisville, Kentucky. Thank you for coming through and hanging out with us. And just welcome to everybody. Wherever you're coming from, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Let us know where you are watching us from. We've got people I know from New Zealand. We've got people from South Korea. We've got people from England. We've got some folks, of course, here around the United States, in our states, Georgia, Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania. We've got Tennessee, as I mentioned. We've got Alabama. We've got folks who are watching us from Nebraska and Texas and out west. So thank you all for coming through and being with us. And as we get through the evening, we're going to be talking about some very interesting things and some important things as it comes to our health. And you know how we do. We've got my monitors that we're going to take a look at here off to my side. I've got those here. And of course, right down below me is my Dexcom Clarity Report that we will look at to see what's been going on with my blood sugars over the last little while. So a couple of things that I want to point out as you're coming through into the channel, as you are joining us, make sure that you get over to our YouTube channel. And you will notice that the YouTube channel has been revamped and redesigned, and some special things are there to help you jump in really quickly and get started. So we've taken all of those videos off of the main page. They're still on the channel, by the way. Don't think they're gone. We've taken all of those off the main page and have streamlined that so that when you get there, you can jump right in and get started. We don't want you to have to redesign the wheel, as it were. And so we've got 2 playlists that you'll see when you get there. One is called Start Here. And let's get over there. Let's take a look. The first one is the Start Here playlist, and this is a curated list of videos that we've put together. This is these are the main videos, the teachings, the things that we're doing, the path that we're walking on. If you want to see what we're doing, how we're doing it, how we're getting the benefits, how we're getting the successes that our community members are getting, that's where you start, right there in the Start Here playlist. There's a PDF you can download that guides you through that. It's a free PDF that takes you through what you should be getting from those videos. There has some exercises that you'll do, some prompts, some questions, and it's a fun thing to do as you're walking through the space of getting yourself healthy. At the end of that PDF, there is the Life Limitless Living Commitment Statement, which you get to read, you get to sign. I recommend that you take that, write your name on it, sign it, print it out, date it, put it in a frame, put it on your wall, put it on your counter, somewhere where you can see it on a daily basis so you can remind yourself of the commitment that you made about being healthy. And then, of course, the second thing that you will see there, the second playlist, is this week's videos. And this week's videos has the videos that you will that we're doing this week. If you want to know what we're doing this week, what conversations we're having, what shows we've had, those will all show up there. And there is that first video you see that says what's happening this week. So just a brief message from me that kind of launches the week. Of course, we've got our strength, strategy, and mindset episode that's there that you will see, and that's our series that's going on right now. And then, of course, this is the show that we're watching right now. So now this will change on a weekly basis. So if you go there next week looking for this week's, it won't be there. You'll see next week's videos in that. But if you're jumping in and you're sending somebody to the channel and want to know, hey, what's going on right now? What are they doing? That's where you would send them, okay? And then, of course, you can always get to our website, DwainWoodeMD.com, and walk through that process. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at what's been going on with my blood sugars as we've been walking through the last several days. Let's hop over now, and this is my Freestyle Libre. And you'll see right there my blood sugar right now is an 86. And if we scroll down right about here, you see my graph. I'm going to put my finger on that, and so you get to see what's been going on with my blood sugars over the course of today. And you'll see that number will change right in this area, 80, 70, 70, 70s. And so we got right about lunchtime, and then lunchtime, what did I have for lunch? Lunchtime I had 2 hamburger patties with some cheese and some chips. And you see that went up to about no, not chips today. What did I have today? Yeah, chips. And so that went up to what's the highest they got there? About 120. And then back down, and then kind of scooted back up in the 90s, 102, the low 100s, and then back down. Okay, so you see that there to where we are right about now, into the 80s. Awesome. What I like about this is I can actually click on the report, and I can see what my time and range is, and we're looking right in here in this area. And that'll come up in just a minute. And so time and range, so I'm in range 97% of the time. 3% of those are lows. That's 3% you see down there. And that's typically, those lows are typically when I'm fasting. And as you follow us through the course of the week, you'll see that number actually gets higher, right? So as we're fasting, the blood sugar goes down, and the number of, the percentage of lows goes up. If I take a look at this at 90 days, I'm in target 87% of the time, and then, of course, low for 13% of the time. If I click over and go to average, and you see my average right there for the last 7 days. If I go to 90 days, you'll see the average right in that area, 89. And then it breaks it down what my averages are throughout the day, right? So you can see different times of the day, midnight, 3 a.m., 6 a.m., noon, 3 p.m., and so forth. And you see, so the average there, anywhere from, let's see, 86 to about 91. And so that's what gives us that total 90-day average right there of 89. Okay? All right. And then let's go over and let's get rid of some of these. Well, let's make some changes here first before we before we get over there. And I want to bring up my Dexcom. There it is. And yeah, so here we are. So 134 is what my average is right there. 134. And if I scroll down here, this is what my graph looks like. And if I go to 24 hours, we can also put my finger over here. And as you know, the Dexcom for me tends to be about 20, 25, maybe 25, sometimes 30 points higher than the Libre. To people ask me all the time, which one is more accurate? And if you want to, well, not if you want to, go back and watch the show that I did when I reviewed my labs from my doctor's visit, which was just almost a month ago now. Go back and watch that show, and you'll get to see the correlation between my A1C, what it actually was, and what the different monitors were saying at the time, okay? So right down here, let's go ahead, and so we're in 110s, 130s, coming into the morning, 120s, low 100s, and then right in there we get our toothpaste effect again, so we pop up to about 130, 140, and then we get into lunch, and lunch pops up to about 140, up to actually here's a 173, right? So 173 right there, and then back down, back down to where we are into the 130s. And notice that the Libre, at the highest the Libre was, if I remember correctly, was 122. And so add 30, 40 points to that, 30, 150 would be where I would be according to the Dexcom. And so there's that correlation there. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at what's going on with my blood sugars as my monitors are saying. So here, so I've got my Keto Mojo and I've got my Contour, and let's go ahead and grab our little container. I need a brown one for the glucose strip, and I need a blue for ketones, because you know the Contour, the Keto Mojo gives me both glucose and ketones. I need a Lancet, boom, 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 and then I need test strips for my Contour. Let's go ahead and grab that out. And get that one in here. And I'm going to go ahead and open up both of these, the test strip for the Keto Mojo, get that open and get that in. And also, while that's getting ready, open up the ketone one, because I don't want to have to stick my finger again. And sometimes it dries up quickly. Let's get it off to the side. And so I use a Lancet, but I do not use a Lansing device. So I simply just open this thing up and find a finger right about there, and ow, 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 ow. And hopefully that gives me, okay, yeah, there it is. A good, not brisk, but good enough. And so get both of these going. And let me get this back up so you can see what the numbers are. So 127 according to Keto Mojo, 126 according to the Contour, and then right there you'll see that my Dexcom says 146. And then if I go back over here for my Libre, the Libre right now says 89. Okay, so both of these are corresponding more closely. Well, I guess so. Well, let's go back. So this one is 90, about 30 points higher than what the Libre is saying. And the Dexcom is about 20 points higher than what these guys are saying. So right now, these two correlate with each other. Neither of them correlate very closely with the with the Dexcom or the Libre. And let's go ahead and get this out. and get this in. Now, you remember that whenever we talk about meters, monitors, CGMs, whether you're doing a finger stick, these guys can be about 20% off from each other, okay? All right, so here's my ketones getting ready to show up. So what do you think they're going to be? So I'm not fasting right now, and you've seen what the numbers are. So we haven't fasted. Let's see. So it's low. And so anything below 0.5 considered normal, which low is considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 are considered nutritional ketosis, and then of course above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. And right now, since I'm not fasting and I don't do a ketogenic diet or fasting mimicking diet, I'm in the normal range. Come back as we go through the rest of the week, and you'll see what those numbers are as we get into the fast. All right, so let's go ahead now. Let's take a look at blood sugars, and I want to look at blood sugars as we've kind of gone through the fast or ended the fast and what's been happening over the last few days. Okay, let's look at that now, and let's take a look at this view. And right now, 90 days, 114 is what my average is. 14 days, 114 is what the average is. We usually tell people we want their average to be between 100 and 120. And so there we are. I'm in target 98% of the time. Target being anywhere from 70 to 180. Now, one thing about the target range, notice that that target range is pretty wide. So even though you look at that number and if you're watching your monitor, people will say to me, well, it's in range. Why is my A1C not good? Well, the range is pretty wide. So you can actually be sitting at 180 all the time and still be considered to be in range. But 180 does not give you an A1C of 6.5. In order to get a A1C of 6.5 is what we're shooting for, you've got to have blood sugars between 100 and 120. Okay, so this is a safety range, but it does not correspond to the A1C. This guy right here, the glucose management indicator, is a closer indication of what your A1C should be. You should expect your A1C to approximate whatever this is going to be. And once again, go back and watch that show that we did where we went through my personal labs. All right, and then let's go ahead and let's get this off. And let's look at what my average is over 90 days. And so this gives us over 90 days, my average is 115. And once again, keeping between that 100 and 120 range that we say. I'm in target 98% of the time, target being the same, 70 to 180. And my glucose management indicator would be a 6.1. And so I would expect my A1C to be close to a 6.1. Now let's take a look at the actual blood sugars over the last several days, and we're going to go ahead and start when I broke my fast, and that was, if you recall, on Friday. And so here we are right about here, and so we ended that fast right in here. And go back and watch what I ate, by the way. And so you see that blood sugar. So this is about an hour and a half after the fast, 129, and then we ate again. So it went up to about 180, came back down, and then ate supper. Right, it went up to about 198, back down to the 140s, and then kind of titrated up into the 180s the next morning. Right, 180s, 190s, and here, wow, 217, down to the 130s. That was the next morning, and here's my toothpaste effect. So once again, so we'll notice that it started higher than normal. So 130s, 140s, normally we're like 90s, 80s. And so when it popped up, right, that toothpaste effect, notice what happened, right? So we went up to about 200 there, 227, all right? So that's, 30, 40 points higher than we would expect that would be. And then coming into the rest of the day, down into the 140s. And then right about here, that's lunch. So we had lunch over at with our team at the church, and so went up to about 193 right there. That is some. So what did I have there? That was some peach cobbler. think is what they have. And then back down, 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 down into the 130s, 110s, 140s, and then coming back into Sunday, right, down into 140s, dropping down to the 120s, 110s, and kind of staying in the 130s, 140s for most of that day. 120s, 120s, 130s, 140s, 120s into the rest of the day, and then started going down into the 110s, and then to where we are today, 120s, 130s. Okay? And scrolling, 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 and here's lunch right here, up into the 160s, back down, and then down to where we are right now. And so that's what's been going on blood sugar wise over the last several days as we have as we ended the fast on Friday, and then as we got through the weekend into the week, and you saw what those numbers are. All right, so let's go ahead and let's say hi to some of our community members. I see you guys out there, so let's say hi really quickly. And wherever you guys, and I see some people dropping in some comments. So let's see. So we've got Kenty. Kenty's, what's going on? Kenty is waving to everybody. Hey, thank you for coming through. We got Kenty says flagship show starts now. That's right. Here we are. Let's get that going. So Kenty said, New Zealand here. Come on. Yeah, glad you're here. Teresa says, hey, Doctor and Kenty. Hey, what's up, Teresa? What's going on? Kenty said, good evening, Teresa. Steve says, my ketones are 2.2. Weight is 169. Glucose is 116. Ended my fast at 11 this morning. Congratulations, Steve. And so look at those benefits that Steve is seeing. 169 pounds with ketones of 2.2 and ending his fast. Now, Steve, drop in the comments for us. How long did you fast, by the way? Just drop that in there for us. And then Steve said, hello, friends. Kenty say, guess ketones were 0.25. Guessing ketones 0.25. So it was even lower than that, Kenty. And Steve says, Kenty says, super Steve. And then Pam says, hello, everyone. What's going on, Pam? Thank you for coming through. Thank you for hanging out with us. And always excited when our community members are here in this space with us. All right. So we've been talking a lot recently about finishing strong. And actually that is, and so let me go back here for a sec. So Steve says that he did a 24-hour fast. Okay, thank you for putting that through, and congratulations on those numbers that you showed us there. I love that. So we've been talking about finishing strong, and we are transitioning from our play your own game. Remember, the idea of play your own game is that the path that we're on, there are some metrics that we're looking at: A1C goals, weight goals, blood pressure goals, cholesterol goals, and we're playing that, or we're reaching for those, but we're playing it our own way. We're installing in ourselves, we're installing in our lives the things that take us in that direction. And we've moved from that, and we're talking now about finishing strong. How do we finish strong? How do we get to that space so that the things that we're doing are now installed in us, and we can use that to our benefit? And so that's what we're going to be spending some time talking about as we get through our conversation tonight. Let's go ahead and let's do that right now. All right, so if you're ready to move from good intentions to discipline, this is it right here. Let's get started. So when we started, I was talking about going to ball games. My son and I are on this basketball trek right now. My son, wife, and I are on this track. And so it gets exciting at the beginning, right? So we're walking in and we're all the things that are going on within the arena, and everybody's excited. People are parking, people are walking in, people are having fun. They're meeting up with their folks. They're getting the food. They're going. They're sitting, and the tip off, boom, gone, right? And so well, up and down the court, up and down the court. Everybody's excited and they're yelling, and in the middle of the game, something interesting happens. Right, so people they've kind of gotten a feel now. The excitement is still there, but it's kind of waned a little. It's not as big as it was before, and people are getting up and they're going out and get stuff to eat and coming back in and so forth. But at the last quarter, everybody's in their seat. Everybody's sitting there. Everybody's watching. They're at the edge of their seat and they're waiting, and they're wanting to know what's going to happen at the end. What's going to happen at the end of the game? Are we at the place where we're going to win? Yeah. And we find ourselves in that same space when it comes to our health, when it comes to other things that are going on in our lives. And if we're not careful, we can lose momentum, we can lose focus, we can lose our way, and it takes us a while to kind of get back. And so we're going to talk about discipline and why discipline is so important as we move into our final platform, final space, final leg, if you will, of the game. Because we don't want to lose track here. We don't want to get to the space where we've done all of the stuff, we've learned the stuff, and it becomes just something else that we tried. I went to a conference, and you probably heard me tell this story before. I went to a conference, and on the last day of the conference, the speaker got up and he said to everybody, he said, when you guys go home, when you get back to the house, you've learned all this stuff. You spent all this time here. You've learned all this stuff. When you get back to the house, is your family going to say, and it was a men's conference, well, Daddy went to that thing, or Grandpa went to that thing that one time, and when he came back, nothing changed? Or are they going to say, man, Daddy, Grandpa, Uncle, somebody went to that conference that one time, and when he came back, nothing in our lives have been the same. Things have been so much better. And so the question that we have to ask ourselves is, after all that we have done, after all that you've learned, after all that has been instilled, after all that you have been changing, is this just another thing that you did that one time? Is this just a 90-day thing that you tried? Do you, years from now, look back and say, oh yeah, you remember that one time we did that thing and that's done? Or is this now something that has become instilled in you as a permanent part of who you are? And that's what we want. Limitless living says that it is not a temporary thing. We are creating the life we've always wanted. We're going to the next level. We are taking charge of our health and our lives. We are avoiding complications. We're reversing our diabetes. We're improving our metabolism. So it can't be just for a moment. It can't be the excitement at the beginning of the game. The question is, down the road, what happens? And so we're going to talk a little bit about why discipline beats motivation, and moving from good intentions to daily discipline, right? From good intentions to daily discipline. And so what does that mean? What does it mean to move from good intentions to daily discipline? When a lot of people hear about discipline, they think of it as punishment. You can be honest. Right, you can be honest about it. When we think about it often, that's what we think. We think that motivation or discipline is being punished, right? We're disciplining them. We're disciplining ourselves. We're cutting off from ourselves. We are restricting ourselves. We're putting ourselves in the little box. But why does discipline work? Why does it beat motivation? That's the question. Why does it beat motivation? And so when we think about discipline, discipline is not it is not punishment. Discipline actually is freedom. Discipline is structure. When most people hear the word discipline, they think punishment, they think restriction, but the truth is discipline creates freedom, because within the structure, there is the ability, the assurance that I can, within this space, do whatever I need to do. So let's reframe what discipline really is. Discipline creates predictability. I don't have to think about it anymore. It is automatic. I've created a structure around me. It removes decision fatigue. I don't have to worry anymore about whether I'm going to have a good blood sugar. I don't have to worry anymore about whether my X is going to improve or my Y is going to get better. When I go to the doctor's office, people walk in to the office sometimes and they'll say to me, "Oh, I was afraid to come in today." I said, "Why?" They said, "Because I wasn't sure what my blood sugars were. I wasn't sure what my labs were." And I say to people all the time, when you walk into my office, if you have not gotten a copy of your blood results, your blood work, when you walk into the office, it should not be a surprise to you what those numbers are. Why? Because you have some structure at home in your life that's helping you move through that space, and you're looking at them, you are evaluating them, you're making changes based on what you're seeing. As an example, athletes practice daily drills so they're free to perform naturally in the game. If in the game they're concentrated on learning the fundamentals or making sure they hold the ball a certain way, making sure when they're shooting that they got the arc and they got the elbow, and right, if that's what they're concentrating on, their thoughts and their energies are not in the game. When I teach my medical students, right, I say to them, you are not a data gatherer. So as we go through medical training, right, we're learned to pick up data, right? You get all the stuff, you talk to the patient, you go and you look at the labs. But at some point, we've got to move from just gathering data as physicians to actually using the data with the patient. And so my function when I'm teaching medical students is that you've already been taught how to look at labs. You've been already taught what the labs are giving you. Now let's take that and let's transfer that now into a bigger picture, a more robust set of tools so that you can actually talk to a patient and evaluate them and tell them what's going on. The same thing here. You've learned all the stuff. Now we're creating a structure so that the structure allows you to do what you need to do within it. We're no longer learning how to walk. We've been walking for 100 days. Actually, 200 and I think Kenty put it for me, 231 days now into our MOVE campaign. How to walk is no longer a thing. We've been strength strategy and mindset now for 121 days, 122 days. We've got a structure now. So structure gives freedom. In health, discipline is choosing to meal prep. So you're free from the drive-through temptation. Going back to my labs or the numbers that we saw a little while ago, when I go to a function now, I sit and I can look at the table and I can make a choice on what I'm going to eat there because I know that my structure helps me with whatever I eat right here. So if I eat a cookie, if I eat some ice cream, if I drink some juice, I know, hey, guess what? In 2 days, I'm going to be fasting for 72 hours. It creates freedom. Structure doesn't trap you. It actually frees you from chaos. So don't see discipline as chains. See it as a key. The structure that you choose today sets you up and sets you free for tomorrow. Oh yeah. That's what it is. Not a prison, but something that sets you free. So let's talk about 3 non-negotiables. 3 non-negotiables. Most people overcomplicate health. And we overcomplicate health because as an industry, we do that. 10 rules here, 12 steps there, 500 whatever there. So what I want to do is I want to make this simple. As simple as possible. So 3 daily non-negotiables. 1 for food, 1 for movement, and 1 for mindset. Yeah? And if we can follow those, they're non-negotiable. If we can discipline ourselves, put structure, then our metabolic process becomes much simpler. So we're not looking for complicated. We're looking for simple so that we can make sure we're doing what we need to do. Now, we've spent some time talking about the Health Action Plan. And the Health Action Plan it has 7 pillars. We're going to take those and I'm going to simplify them for you. And when I think about the Health Action Plan, this is how I really think. Okay? Number 1, non-negotiable, is what are we going to do when it comes to our food? Food non-negotiable. And for our food, understand that the food that we eat gives our body calories. That's part of the metabolism, right? So transferring food that we eat into energy for function. But it also sends other signals to our body. And so making sure that the food that we eat is sending the correct signal and not sabotaging us is what we want to do. And so there are 2 things that we've talked about as it relates to food. Number 1 is fasting, and number 2 is balanced bites. So fasting, we're eliminating some things, and eliminating and balanced bites is how do we look at the food that we're eating generally. And so as you're going through your day, 1 non-negotiable is, am I paying attention to the stuff I'm putting in my body? Notice how simple that is. This is not a list of foods you can eat or foods you can't eat. This is, am I paying attention to the stuff I'm eating, and am I aware of the signals that that stuff is sending to my body? It's a non-negotiable. It's not a I'm not thinking about it. It's not a oh, I'll think about it tomorrow. It's not a oh, well, that doesn't matter. It matters. Now, you may decide that you're still eating a thing, but you've made the decision because you've evaluated in light of all the other things that you're doing for your health. You're looking at the protein that you're eating. You're looking at the desserts you're eating. You're looking, whatever it is you're eating, is it in keeping with, hey, this thing is doing X for my health? You can't go through the day and not think about food if you're eating. Now, if you're fasting, that's a whole nother story, right? So look at that. Look at that now, right? So fasting combined with balanced bites is just simply a non-negotiable for that day. And we're thinking every day, we're having what's my non-negotiable for today? Is it going to be, I'm not drinking a soda today? Is it going to be, I'm not having a dessert on Wednesdays? Am I going to have protein with every meal? One of my non-negotiables is whenever I eat, I try to do a salad first. When I start my fast, when I end my fast, when I sit to eat with the family, a salad. It is my thing that I do that reminds me about my non-negotiable. And if you do that continually, your brain will begin picking up on that. The brain will say, okay, what's my non-negotiable today? Hey, are we going to drink that soda right now? Now, nobody has to say anything to you. And that's the beauty of this. Nobody is having to say anything to me because my brain now with me is saying, okay, what's my non-negotiable? What are we doing today as it relates to our food, as it relates to our health? And within that space, I've got fair game. I can decide what it is I'm going to eat. So what is going to be yours? What's your non-negotiable? What's your one thing that you are going to look at today? What are you going to get out of your space that's sending the wrong signal? Now notice that's the idea. That as you learn, as you think about the food, you're going to identify things that are sending the wrong signals to your body. Because otherwise, nobody knows. You don't have an idea. So that when you walk into your doctor's office, you're like, well, I'm not sure what my labs are going to be. Why? Because we've not been thinking about it. How is that sweet tea going to affect my blood sugar? My blood sugars are better, but my weight's going up. How come? My A1C fell by a full point. But yet I still feel tired. Because the food that we're eating is sending signals to our body. Now here's an interesting idea. The foods that I eat, and this is why I tell people that they should monitor their blood sugars, even if you're not a diabetic. Yes, even if you're not a diabetic, you should still be monitoring your numbers. Why? Because there's some foods that I can eat that quote unquote are good for us that you can't eat because your body responds differently. You don't know that unless you're monitoring. I can't tell you the number of people that have said to me, hey, whenever I eat X, right, I get tired. How come? I eat it and I don't get tired. It's supposed to be a healthy food, but your body responds differently to that food. And we won't know that unless we monitor. So number one, non-negotiable is food. Am I thinking about my food? right? That combines our balanced bites and our fasting, right? So food non-negotiable, number one. That's our food non-negotiable. Number two is our movement non-negotiable. Oh, yeah. You knew this one was coming, right? In fact, our metabolic optimization via exercise. Metabolic optimization via exercise. So move, M-O-V-E. Walking and strength training. What's your non-negotiable? What's your movement? Now, this is an interesting conversation that I have with people. And I'll tell you, frankly, I used to think this myself. Well, I go to work and I am moving all the time. Why do I have to do additional stuff? Because the foods that we ate do things to our bodies that you simply working at your job cannot undo. Let me say that again. The foods that we eat, the stress that we're under, the lack of sleep that we get is so profound that you simply being on your feet at your work, at your job, is not enough to undo what's going on in your body. So I'm excited that you get to do whatever you do. I'm excited at work. I'm excited that you are lifting. I'm excited that you're like walking 10,000 steps a day. I'm excited for all of that. But specifically for your health, what's your non-negotiable? What are you doing specifically to target your health? We walk, right? So we've got metabolic optimization via exercise. So we did 109 days of walking. We did 131 days of strength training. We're getting ready to launch our last 100 days, our next 100-day series. Muscles act like glucose sponges. They suck up sugar and they lower insulin. Remember, insulin is the culprit. Insulin is the problem. So if I can lower my blood sugar without using insulin, my insulin level goes down. And this goes for diabetics, non-diabetics, whether you pre-diabetic, whoever you are, this works. We spend so much time talking about fatty foods as it relates to cholesterol that we don't realize that sugar in the body and insulin play a big part in cholesterol. So people are cutting back on fatty foods and they're not eating fried foods and they're not doing this, but they're eating sugar. Sugar causes insulin to go up. Insulin causes, guess what? Fatty liver, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. So what's your movement non-negotiable? What are you thinking about today for your health that involves movement? We've just talked about the food part, but movement. A 20-minute walk during lunch. 10 squats while you wait for the shower to warm up. 5 push-ups. I told you guys a couple of weeks ago that I made a challenge for myself. So anytime I get to the bathroom, I see the mirror, I do some push-ups against the counter. Right now I'm doing 50, right? My non-negotiable. And within that space, that's let me say the word discipline. Discipline is not you being strong enough. I want to drive that in. Discipline is not you being strong enough to do it. Discipline is having the structure around you that makes you do it. Because you're not going to want to do it. Like, I don't want to get up every morning to go out back and lift. I'm tired sometimes. As a matter of fact, particularly when, and we're going to talk about this next one here in a minute, particularly when I'm up late and I get up in the morning, I'm like, man, I can spend another 45 minutes in bed? What? but it's one of my non-negotiables. Movement, and non-negotiable. What is your movement non-negotiable? And then the third non-negotiable is our mindset. Now notice the Limitless Living Health Action Plan is folded into this, right? So when we talk about food, right? What's my food non-negotiable? We're talking about fasting and balanced bites. When we talk about movement non-negotiable, we talk about what? Walking and strength training. Now we're talking about our mindset non-negotiable. What is my mindset non-negotiable? And what does that really mean? My mindset is, what am I doing to take care of my thought process? Our view of the world dictates everything that happens as we interact with the world. The lenses through which we see the world has an effect on everything else. And so making sure that we are taking care of that has to be a non-negotiable, because in fact, our mindset non-negotiable affects our movement non-negotiable and also affects our food non-negotiable. Because the way we think about our health, the way we think about our lives, the way we think about the stuff that happens around us has a profound and direct effect on how we move and how we eat. So are you taking the time to process? I'll tell you, right before we came on, I had something happen just a little while ago, and I had to process. COPE, clarify, observe, pause, and execute. I had to process. And so I'm sitting here and I'm plowing along, getting ready for the show, and my brain says to me, dude, what are you doing? You haven't processed that yet. So I paused, took a moment, went, got my journal, jotted some stuff down. Actually went to take a shower. Actually was what I did also. I was all dressed, all ready to be here. I said, okay, yeah, because that's one of my things. I don't know if you guys have read the book, The Power of Now. Interesting book. And after reading that book, I started doing kind of some interesting things. Like when I'm in my head, right, I count things. Like I count leaves on the trees. There's a tree right out there. I'm driving in the car and I feel the vibration of the car as it's rolling, right? So I'm ta-ta, ta-ta, ta-ta. I feel that, ta-ta, right? I take a shower and I'm counting the water drops. I'm trying to count the water. You know how many water drops anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But what am I doing? I'm pausing to allow my prefrontal cortex to take over. I'm pausing so that my amygdala doesn't cause me a problem, because it's ready to react. It's ready to do stuff to make me feel better. So what's my mindset non-negotiable? Mindset non-negotiable says that you have to practice some tools on a daily basis that will help you to deal with whatever's up here. Now, people say, well, I'm not stressed right now. You don't have to be stressed right now. But you have to get into the habit of doing something. Whatever it is, journaling, repeating a gratitude statement, praying, yoga, meditate, whatever it is to help you manage the thought process, the thought life. What is it? Because when you can do that, you're lowering the cortisol level. The cortisol level lowers the sugar, which lowers the insulin, which sets you up for success. So that when you're in the situation, oh, this is a good one. When you're in the situation, I'm going to tell you, if you've not practiced, you're not going to be able to do it. And so doing it, making it a non-negotiable on a regular basis, allows you, when you are going through the process, when things are happening, for you to successfully be able to apply it. We talk about the COPE model all the time: clarify, observe, pause, and execute. If you've not gone through that process, you're like, what was that second one? Oh, what am I supposed to execute now, or am I pausing now? What is your non-negotiable when it comes to your mindset? What are you doing on a daily basis? What ritual do you have that helps you to process? There has to be a non-negotiable. And tied with that, remember we said that the health action plan is folded in, tied with it, right? The mindset mastery is resting. If you are not resting, then you are not doing what you need to do for your mind. Because if you're not resting, the mind is always going. It's in that stress, in that cortisol, in that process. It's always going, and that causes that tonic stress hormone, which causes the sugar to rise, which causes the insulin to go up, and then, of course, we know that insulin causes all these other stuff, all these other things. So your non-negotiables are your receipts. The non-negotiables are your receipts, the proof that you show up every day for your health. I just, on the way home, I had to get some gas, right? So I went and got the thing, and at the end, of course, they said, do you want a receipt? I said, yeah, because I take the receipt, I take a picture of it, keep it on my phone. Anyway, that's my way of tracking. Proof. So here's my receipt. Here's my food receipt. Here's my movement receipt. Here's my mindset receipt. My non-negotiable. Proof that today I did what I needed to do for my health. That's my proof. It is what allows me to implement the discipline that I need. Because when motivation goes, the only thing that keeps me going is discipline. If I don't have discipline, I don't have a bridge. I don't have a bridge across whatever's going on at the time. I don't have a bridge that takes me, and remember what a bridge is, right? A bridge is a structure that takes you from one point to the other. Remember, the bridge is intended to keep you moving forward. Like I'm walking along, and there is a discrepancy between where I am and where I want to go. And the bridge is put in place to allow me to move forward in that direction. And the thing that allows me to do that, when there's an obstacle, when things break down, when I'm tired, when stuff is going on with the family, when I'm frustrated, when I'm mad, when I'm depressed, whatever it is, the bridge that takes you there is discipline. Motivation is not going to do it, because motivation is gone. And so what's your food non-negotiable? Number one. What are you going to do this week on a daily basis that says, okay, this is my receipt for my food? What am I going to think about? Is it a cookie that I eat every day? Is it some ice cream that I get on my with dinner? Whatever it is, am I thinking about, okay, how is my food signaling my body? What's my movement non-negotiable? Am I doing something every single day that says that I'm committed to my health. And my mindset, am I getting rest? And am I doing something? Have I implemented a method to deal with all the stuff that's in my head? Those are the receipts for your day. They say, I've shown up today. So don't try to do 10 things, right? Back to our game. Our game is, boom, we are in there. We're in the last quarter. The coach is not calling crazy plays, simple things. Anchor your day with just 3. Food, movement, and mindset. Keep those receipts daily, and you'll build consistency that lasts. How do you know discipline is real in your life? Not by your intentions, not by your motivation. You know it by the receipts. So I want you to have some receipts every single day. Every single day. At the end of the day, you know what? Okay, look at this. Look at this. I got 3 receipts. I got a food receipt, I got a movement receipt, I've got a mindset receipt. And when you do that, you've created a bridge that takes you from intention to discipline. And the discipline takes you into your health, where we're going to be as we reverse our diabetes, improve our metabolism, and as we get healthy. All right. So I see a lot of communication going on, and let's hop over and let's say hi to our community members. I see some folks pop through, but that is the idea. That discipline is freedom. Discipline brings us the benefit of structure. And that's all discipline is. It is the structure that allows us to move in a direction, is the bridge that takes us where we want to go as we work on our health. All right, so let's see. Let's see, where are we? So go ahead and say hi to our community members. I'm trying to remember where we were, make sure I don't miss anybody. Oh yeah, we were at Steve. Steve said 24 hours. And then Cornelia, she says, hello, Dr. Woode, Kenty, Teresa, Steve, and Pam. I'm loving the energy and fasting results. Congrats. Teresa says, hey, Steve, Pamela, Cornelia. Gion says, hi, doctor. Hi, LLG. What's going on, everybody? Hi, Kenty. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Steve. Hi, Pam. And hi, Cornelia. Gion just saying hello to everybody. Kenty said, evening, Pamela, Cornelia. Morning, Gion. That's right. You guys are, Gion and Kenty, you are our future visitors. They're visiting us from the future. Cornelia says, hi, Gion. Kenty said, doctor's numbers are probably higher than he would like, but you got to enjoy life. Hope weekend was fun. It was fun, Kenty. Fun. Got a chance to hang out with a bunch of folks. This is a team that my son is on, and anyway, it was good. Kenty, good afternoon from Gian. Teresa says, hey, Gian. Kenty says, thank you. Tuesday, 12:37. Okay, so Kenty, that's the time where you are. And then I think Gian is in the morning. Yeah, okay. So that's why you were saying good morning. Kenty, you are 3 hours ahead of me. Okay. And then Kenty says, hello, friend. Gian says, I plan my Wednesday is no food day, non-negotiable. Okay, so it sounds like Gian is fasting on Wednesday. Awesome. We will be starting our fast tomorrow, by the way, at right after our meeting. So make sure you join us for that. Bowie says, hi, everyone. Gian, hi, Bowie. Bowie in the house. What's up? And Bowie is near me. We need to take a road trip. We need to get all the folks together in our area and just take a road trip. We need to head out to Jennifer's. Gian says, "Yay!" Cornelia says, "Hi, boy." Cornelia, how were you feeling today? Did you get some rest? Boy says, "LOL, it's always bedtime when I watch these, so I'm so sleepy, but I like to pop my hide." So, Kendi, we're glad. Oh, boy, we're glad that you are popping in. Great job, Bowie. What time is it there? Hi, Bowie. Jennifer, Teresa, how are you? Teresa says, "I'm better. Thank you for asking." Great. I'm glad that you're better. So I'm glad that you guys are all doing better. Hey, Gian, kudos to your Wednesday no food day, non-negotiable. Awesome. And Cornelia says she tested negative for strep and COVID today, getting better, still resting. Thank you for letting us know. We're glad that you are doing better. Thank you, Cornelia. Teresa, I know I miss you guys so much, but I do not have the login information for Kajabi. Thanks for asking. We're in together. Great. Teresa says Kajabi. Yes. Hey. Teresa says, "I'm trying to work on it. If you know, I never had information as it depends upon the link that came at the end of the shift." So the link for Kajabi is, and I'll post it again for those people who are in the YouTube membership. Okay, so you have to be in the membership to get that link. Okay, so make sure that you guys are there, and then that link will come through. Gian, still don't. Okay, so still don't have the login. Teresa says, "Yes, I'm trying, but no luck yet." Do you have the Kajabi app in cell phone? And Cornelia says, negative men stuff. Okay, so no COVID, right? Yes, so no COVID there. Awesome. All right, so I am just so excited for this week and for where we're heading. Remember, as we talk about discipline, the non-negotiables, we talk about what we're doing in our space. Remember what our goal is. Our goal is not simply that we are working for an A1C, or we're working for a weight, or we're working for a blood pressure or cholesterol. Now, all that's important. Let me say that. Let me not, I don't want to poo-poo that. That is all important, but what we're working for is long, healthy life. How do we stay alive as long as possible? And how do we stay as healthy as possible? That's what we want. And if we can do that, if we can stay in that space, then we are successful. And so when we talk about what we do here on the channel, the Triple E Formula for Success, we educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, with the podcasts, with the blogs. We encourage or empower with the tools that we're learning, right? So all the things that we're learning, the COPE model, the HEAT model, the 3 non-negotiables, all are tools that are designed to help us implement the things that we're learning, to make it simple. Do you know why people do not, and when I say people, I'm including myself in that. Do you know why we don't persist? Is because we make it so complicated. And we think that what we're doing is interrupting our lives. That's how it's been presented. And we can't do that anymore. We can't allow the way things are given to us to affect how we function in our lives. And that's what Limitless Living says, that we're not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do to be successful. So this is not a one-time thing. This is not we're going to try this now. This is, how do I install this as a permanent fixture in my life? It's kind of like brushing your teeth. You get up in the morning and you brush your teeth. It is what it is. There's no negotiable. It's non-negotiable. I get up, I brush my teeth, and I go. And so for most of us, I can probably count, well, I was going to say on one hand, but maybe a little bit more than that. I can count the number of places where you just decided, hey, you know what, today, yeah, I'll make that brushing my teeth negotiable. How come? How come we don't do that? Because it's become that routine, that it is non-negotiable. We get up, it's right there, we grab the toothbrush, we go. Even sometimes, and one of the things that that we've been talking about, I talk about my toothpaste effect. Even when I'm fasting, sometimes I go to the bathroom and I grab it and I go, it's like, oh, I wasn't supposed to use that toothpaste. Why? Because it is what it is. It is a natural reaction. It's been grilled into me. It's been woven into me. It has been cut into what I do in the morning. It's part of the routine. So it's no longer a thought process. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. And the community that you're part of, the community that's here, the community that's growing, is an amazing community. The benefit of community is that community allows you to see a reflection of yourself. It allows you to lean on people that are moving in the same direction. It allows you to bounce ideas off of people. There are questions that you have that you think, oh, that's just me, but no, somebody else in the community has exactly the same question. Your journey that you've been on, the successes you've had, the failures you've had, as rocky as your health journey has been, somebody else needs to know that story. And so when you're in community and you share that, the community becomes richer because it is the intertwine and the compounding of so many stories and lives as we move in this path together. That's the beauty of community. So as you're here, we're excited that you're getting benefit. I love when I see people talking about what they're getting. I love to see people talk about like Steve put in there 169 pounds? And you should hear Steve's story. Interesting, very exciting story. Cornelia, who's in the chat right now, tells her story. And Julian and Pam and Teresa and Jennifer and Bowie and Kenty. Right? So as the community grows, it becomes richer because we're hearing all these stories about what people are doing and how people are progressing. And we also get to hear where the challenges are, y'all. It's not just about, okay, everything is great. No, it's not. I'll tell you that. But the community allows us to grow and to push and to pull each other along the way. And when you get some benefit, even here in this community, when you get some benefit here, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with your family, with your friends, at your church, at your doctor's office, at your work, in your neighborhood. Share with those people, because we can't get our community healthy and leave all the other communities the way they are. Get out there and begin showing them how they can do it as well. Be an ambassador for health. Have you ever thought you were going to be the ambassador for health? Most of us think, oh my God, my health is so bad, there's no way I can tell anybody about that. But can you imagine what it's like? I want you to think about this. Let's say you've had bad health. And you're walking along this pathway now, and your health is good. Your weight's gone down, blood sugars are better, A1C is better, blood pressures come down. You're off of medication. Do you know what happens when somebody that you know, that knew you, sees you and hears your story? The impact on their health journey? Wow. Beyond measure, beyond value. And remember why we do what we do. We do what we do because we're trying to stay alive as long as possible and be as healthy as possible. Why are we trying to do that? So we can connect. And who are we going to connect to? The people that we are bringing along with us. Right? The family members that even now are struggling in their health journey. How do I stay around longer and healthier and they're gone? The kids who are now growing up, who don't understand what you've just learned and are going down the same pathway that you went down. How do I get better and not tell them about it? That spouse, the parents, the children, the grandchildren, the generations of family members that you have watched where mama had it and daddy had it and cousin had it and uncle had it and they all died before 50 or all died before, and they all had the diabetes and they don't all have to have it. That's the point. Everybody in the family doesn't have to have a heart attack. Everybody in the family doesn't have to go on dialysis. Everybody in the family doesn't have to take insulin. Everybody in the family does not have to go down the metabolic road that you've been down. So we educate, we empower, and we encourage. And that is so exciting for me. I'm so glad that I get a chance to walk along this path with you and see the amazing results that you guys are having. And because I am in the community with you, do you know that you're part of my structure? You're part of my discipline? Oh yeah, you are. And I love it. We'll be back as we go through the rest of this week. We'll be back tomorrow as we start our fasting, as get into our next 72-hour fast, starting tomorrow right about 1:30 or so. Pay attention to that as we do our pop-up. Well, between 1 and 1:30, I'll say that. And then on Wednesday night, we'll be back here at 9 o'clock for our 33-hour check-in. On Wednesday, we'll have our check-in during the day. Thursday, we'll be back 9 o'clock as we do our 56-hour check-in. And then on Friday, for our complete review of fasting, how do we begin a fast, get into it, how do we successfully get through it, and then how do we break the fast. And you get to see what I eat for the first time in 72 hours. Come on, watch me tomorrow to see what I eat for the last meal, and then you can see what I eat for the first meal as we get through the rest of this week. Hey, remember, discipline is your bridge. It is not restriction. It is your construction. So what are you going to do this week, right? What's your food non-negotiable? What's your movement non-negotiable? And what's your mindset non-negotiable? Those three things, you want to make sure that you are getting receipts this week. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. Now go live a limitless life, and we'll see you as we get through the rest of this week. For community members, that link will show up in a minute in the Kajabi. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.